of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah.
That's a real tough decision. That's why they get paid the big bucks. That's why they get the limos and you don't.
Because those types of things really are the purview of the CDC. This is a public health issue.
First discovered drag at 13. Joe Biden made some really interesting comments trying to pronounce the word kleptocracy, and the internet just about broke. We also compared that to what Joe Biden used to be like. Fauci the other day said something really interesting about the CDC and its power over the courts of the United States. And also Discovery Plus is putting on a kids drag show. GDP is down, inflation is up, all that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go! That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
From a dingy bunker completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is April 29th, the year of our Lord 2022, Friday. Got some Friday funs and also Friday terrifyings. I don't know if that makes sense. Joe Biden yesterday broke the internet with his age. We're going to get to that first. That's going to be the first thing we talk about. So, well, let's just get right on into it. This, at this point, is scary and sad. If you've been following the president and how he does things, his cognitive decline is a bit of a concern. And this is no different. Watch this from the president yesterday talking about, holy cow, everybody's pretty much glossed over the fact that we're going to send how much freaking money to Ukraine, yet we can't send it to our own border. Watch this from the president's press conference announcing, $33 billion going to Ukraine. Check this out.
That will enhance our underlying effort to accommodate the Russian oligarchs and make sure we take their ill-begotten gains. We're going to accommodate them. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy and the guys who are the kleptocracies. But these are bad guys.
So that's where we are at right now. At this point, is it still funny to mock the president not being able to talk? Yeah. But at the same time, it's getting pretty sad and pretty scary. Anytime I play this type of video for my wife, she goes, oh, which I would have that same reaction too. It's not fun to see the mental decline of an elderly person in the United States or really anywhere. But when the president, when that is the president of the United States, it's also very scary. Now, just to juxtapose that, well, first things first, Biden was talking about $33 billion going to Ukraine from the United States government. We couldn't get $2 billion to build the wall on the southern border, but $33 billion going to Ukraine. Now, I'm not necessarily opposed. I don't really have a huge opinion on what's going on in Ukraine. Obviously, it's terrible, and Vladimir Putin is a terrible person. But if we're going to talk about priority, right, wouldn't it seem that we should probably spend that money in areas that we absolutely need it, like the southern border? Now, just to juxtapose this with what Joe Biden used to sound like, I wanted to play this clip from a Senate hearing that he participated in decades ago. Holy cow, literally decades. He looked old in this clip we're about to play. But watch how Joe Biden used to sound. And also, see if you catch this lifelong stutter. Now, congratulations for him for covering it up if he does, in fact, have a stutter. But he didn't have it in this clip. And you'll see, I'm going to stop talking and just play the clip. Watch this. This is Joe Biden from a long time ago, just to kind of show the decline here that we're seeing in the president of the United States.
I respectfully suggest they have a responsibility slightly above your pay grade. Slightly above your pay grade. To decide whether or not to take the nation to war alone, or to take the nation to war partway, or to take the nation to war halfway. That's a real tough decision. That's why they get paid the big bucks. That's why they get the limos and you don't. I mean this sincerely. I'm not trying to be flip, because I think, and that's why I said at the outset, the reason why I'm glad you did what you did, we should come to our milk. We should make a decision. But in terms of whether the Secretary of State has no more to consider than you do as the arms inspector.
All right, so there it keeps going on from there, and we can, I don't know, maybe play a little bit more of it later. But that is Joe Biden decades ago grilling some guy as a part of a Senate hearing. Didn't hear a stutter. And again, if he does, in fact, have a stutter, congratulations on being able to get through it. That's great. But that was a coherent person talking coherently. Now, you may disagree with the policies of former Senator Joe Biden, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the cognitive decline. That person is the same person that said this.
The kleptocracies. Of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy. And the guys who are the kleptocracies.
So, as sad as that is, and as crazy as that is, that this person is being helped by the media and nobody's really calling him out on his mental decline, it is very scary that this guy's in charge. If he was in full cognitive health, forget what general it was. Somebody pretty prominent, name is escaping off my tongue, basically was saying Joe Biden has made every wrong foreign policy decision possible. He's been wrong about every foreign policy decision. He was the only guy in the room, if you remember, to go against going in to get Osama bin Laden. He already has a bad track record, especially with foreign policy, and now with the cognitive decline severely added to his decision-making skills, it does not look great from the vantage point of people looking inward to the United States of America. And again, this is glossing over the fact that we are going to send $33 billion to Ukraine, which is nuts. Speaking about old government people, this is a clip from Fauci last week when the airplane mandates were lifted. It kind of flew under the radar, but I heard it again yesterday and thought, holy cow, how is this not getting more attention? Dr. Fauci obviously has been a proponent of tyrannical rule by the government. And he mentioned this when the airline mask mandate was lifted by the courts. Fauci said this, and I thought it was horrifying, and I can't believe that we completely glossed over it. Watch this from Lord King Fauci.
Both surprised and disappointed, because those types of things really are the purview of the CDC. This is a public health issue. And for a court to come in, and if you look at the rationale for that, it really is not particularly firm. And we are concerned about that, about courts getting involved in things that are unequivocally public health decisions. I mean, this is a CDC issue. It should not have been a court issue. So we're hoping that the inevitable increase in cases which we're seeing are not going to be associated with an increase in hospitalizations.
So that's Dr. Fauci saying this is a CDC issue, not a court issue. Remember, Dr. Fauci, the United States Constitution allows the government to do what it does. The government doesn't have tyrannical control over everything, and therefore the CDC does not have dictatorial control over everything. Everything it does needs to be justified by what's allowed by the people of the United States to the government of the United States. So when he says, oh, this is a CDC matter, the courts don't need to be involved, you want to extrapolate that just a little bit, Dr. Fauci, see where that goes? If the CDC decides that something is a health matter, does that mean the courts, in your mind, the courts have no say in anything whatsoever? It's completely backwards of how the United States works, Mr. Fauci. So Not to go into this big diatribe of Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci also is not going to go to the White House press dinner, the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday, because he said he's making a personal health decision. Dr. Fauci, who is very old, granted, is 4 times boosted. He's gotten all of the shots, as many shots as you're allowed to get. Dr. Fauci has all of them and still is so scared that he's not going to go into the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night. The question that I think a lot of people are asking is, how is this the person that got put in charge of anything? A person that thinks the CDC can override the court system and is so scared of the Chinese bat fever that even though he is all of the vaccines, will still not go into a room full of people. Despite the fact that there have been, for the last year, there have been conferences with doctors around the country and around the world. People aren't wearing masks. But that is what it is. I want to get to this. So, okay. A little bit of carrot and stick here. This is actually a very important story that I feel like is going to actually affect everyday lives. But after this, we'll show you the trailer from the Discovery Plus Drag Kids show. So stick around for the Drag Kids show while we muddle through this very important but not sexy topic of GDP deflation. If you heard the news yesterday, GDP, the United States gross domestic product, fell 1.4% in the first quarter of this year. What that means, in effect, and again, if you're an economist, don't send me your angry emails. I understand that this is a very baseline explanation of what GDP is. But the economy as a whole, how many people are working, how many products are being produced, how many services are being provided, how many people are at work in the economy workforce, and what the economy is doing as a whole, that shrunk. There's less economic activity. There's less economic output from the United States in this quarter. It shrunk. GDP should almost always be growing. If it shrinks 2 quarters in a row, that's effectively what you call a recession. Last time we had a recession, 2008? And we all remember how that turned out. But GDP has effectively shrunk, meaning that the economy is slowing down. Here's the problem when the economy slows down. Usually, there are some trigger points that the Federal Reserve can do to spark economic growth. What that usually is lowering interest rates and encouraging businesses to spend money and people to spend money and get their money out into a moving economy and therefore grow the economy again. The problem is when inflation is also super high, you can't lower the interest rates even more because then you have problems with the monetary system. Effectively, what we have now, or what we will potentially have if the GDP continues to shrink and inflation continues to grow. Also, inflation numbers were out yesterday, rose 6.6% over 12 months ending in March. So there's that. Also, watch out for this. Watch out for this because I guarantee you're going to see this. Jen Psaki is going to get on the White House press briefing room stump and say, well, inflation is going down. What she means when she says that very, very obvious lie is that, well, it wasn't as big as it has been. 6.6% is still massive year over year. But it was, 8.5% the month prior? So when she gets up there and says, well, inflation is going down, we've effectively solved inflation. Know that we've been getting punched in the face 20 times, and now we're only going to get punched in the face 15 times. You're still getting punched in the face. Inflation is still too high. Don't let them fool you with that spin that they're about to pull. But back to the topic at hand. Inflation is up. GDP is down. Generally, the things that the Fed does is tries to spark economic growth by lowering interest rates and therefore getting money more out into the system. But they can't lower interest rates because inflation is so freaking high. Instead, they have to raise interest rates. And when you raise interest rates, economic activity goes down. Businesses spend less money, less homes are purchased, less people are doing less things. So in order to combat this, we have no levers. In order to combat the shrinking GDP, we have no cards left to play. Instead, we're going to have to raise interest rates to stop inflation with a shrinking GDP. That's what's called stagflation, and it's probably scarier than inflation or deflation. When there's less money and less jobs in the market, and your dollar is worth less. Again, I know this is not a sexy topic to be talking about, not fun to belabor over for however many minutes that we belabor over it, but this is actually important. I was telling my wife, I was on Newsmax earlier this morning, and I was telling her we're talking about GDP. She said, gross domestic product. She's like, I paid attention in high school economics. I'm like, yes, you did. She's like, and I said, GDP is shrinking. She said, oh, is that, she was joking, by the way, but she said, is that the products shrinking? Is that why I'm getting less cereal in my cereal boxes, less crackers in my cracker boxes, less chips in my bags of chips? I said, no, but that's shrinkflation, and it's a byproduct of high inflation and maybe even a shrinking economy. Companies are cutting back. It's about what the American people see is the bottom line here. The Biden administration is going into a midterm season. The Democrats are going into a midterm season with people seeing the tangible reality of what the policies the Biden administration have brought them. Prices are up. There's less economic activity, and your dollar goes less far. Going to be an interesting midterm, to say the least. It's a Friday, so this is not fun at all. This is more scary. But I don't know. This just like GDP, this matters a lot, but also doesn't really matter at all in the same time. Culturally speaking, I think this is a huge, huge component in the touchstone of American culture and where we are headed, which seems to be down the toilet. But at the same time, not as many people are going to see this sort of thing, so is what it is. If you haven't already, click the little like button, click the little share button. Would really appreciate you doing so. Helps us reach more people, helps us stay on the airwaves doing what we're doing. I want to play this clip for you that I saw today from Discovery Plus. They are doing a reality TV show of kids who do drag shows. Now, I tend to be more of a libertarian when it comes to let people do whatever they want. If an adult person wants to do whatever, I tend to be on the side of fine. I don't know what the government is going to do about that. Aside from hurting other people, I don't really care. But when it comes to kids, different story. Discovery Plus is putting out a kids drag show, and this is the trailer, and it is horrifying. I'm not sure that we're going to get through this entire thing, to be honest with you, just because of how disturbing it is. But we're going to play it for you and talk about it on the other side. Watch this.
Welcome to the Pink Palace, my lovely friends.
I first discovered drag at 13. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I wanted it. I put on the wig and the makeup, and I'm someone completely different. I'm so pretty!
My drag name is Vanessa Shimmer, and she is just a force you cannot reckon with.
How do I parent a child that wants to do drag?
I never expected drag to be a part of our lives.
Oh my God, these are so cute.
These are problems I never thought I had to prepare for.
What I love about drag is the glitz and the glam.
My name is Noah, and I'm transgender.
Have you talked to mom and dad about pictures?
What do you think of taking those photos down? The constant reminder that they had to pretend I was a boy.
Do you think a mom would ever want to watch me do drag?
How do I explain this to my child that she doesn't fully accept Novella?
Making friends has been...
All right, that's enough of that. Geez, so many thoughts, so many hesitations about expressing those thoughts, just because I'm not a mental health specialist. My wife is, and we were talking about this morning. I'm not going to speak for her, but essentially, this is. I'm not even going to get into that. This is odd. Let's see if this show prevails, I guess. Let's see if there's any backlash. When I watched the YouTube video this morning, there was like 6,000 views. Discovery Plus is a pretty big thing. Discovery Channel, obviously a big thing. 6,000 views is not a lot of views. It's going to be interesting when this starts to catch hold in the mainstream. I would imagine it would do so fairly soon. And we will see how, one, the right responds to it, and two, the left responds and defends something that is a very odd twist in culture. Holy cow! I thought I was going to laugh more during that, but I think I don't know. I'm probably in the same position you are, of all just like, holy cow! What in the world do we do? And so, on that cheery note, we'll send you off into the weekend. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. All of you that watch the entire show every day, I really appreciate it. I know there's some of you out there that do that. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. JOBOB, type in JOBOB. Pretty much anywhere, Twitter, Getter, Facebook, Truth, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of the places. You can find me and we can connect there. People send me a lot of stories that I end up bringing on here, so that's the best place you can do that if you follow me on any of your social media platforms. If you're in the Southern California area, I am speaking at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills tomorrow, talking about colleges. Holy cow, colleges are insane now. Just like Discovery Plus's TV shows are insane now. But I'll be there tomorrow speaking at the Comeback California event. If you're in Southern California, make sure you check it out. And that'll do it for us today, this week. Appreciate you listening, tuning in. We'll see you on Monday. God bless America.